So I'm going to be doing the epoxy countertop for this kitchen. And the first thing I did here was lay down 3/4 CDX plywood. I got everything to the shape that I want. And for this joint here, I ended it right here because the two cabinets are right here, so there's actually two walls right here. So that's nice and supported there. And there's going to be a dishwasher right there, and there's going to be a stove right there. So I also came in with a 45 on each corner that was going to be sticking out. So on the island it's all 4, and then there's that one right there, and there's that one right there, just so we don't have a sharp corner for somebody to hit their head on, like kids playing around or something. I got an 8-inch overhang here. I was going to go a little bit more than that, but 8 inches is fine. If you're sitting underneath of this with a stool, there's plenty of room for you to stick your knees out. I probably could have gone 12 inches, but I didn't know how strong it would be with this plywood. I could also support it with some flat pieces of like 1/4-inch steel. But looking at how wide this island is already, I just don't think that we really need that much space on here, because this is almost 4 feet as it is. It's like 46 inches. So the next step after this is to add some MDF on top of this, which is like a particle board. They make it with sawdust and glue. And I actually hate working with MDF. I don't like MDF at all. But in this case, it's a good match for countertops because it's super flat and it's super smooth. And as long as you keep it waterproof, which the epoxy will do, you shouldn't have any problems with it swelling up, which is why I hate it so much. But like I said, the good thing about MDF is that it does lay flat. This plywood doesn't lay flat at all. You can see this is all over the place. I'm gonna fasten it down to the cabinets, but the first thing I'm gonna do is lay the MDF on top of this. I have 1.5 inches of overhang on all sides that are sticking out anyways, except for next to the stove there. So what I'm going to do now is lay the MDF on top of this and trace it out so it's exactly the same as this. And I don't have to add my 1.5 inches anymore. I just do it exactly the same size. And since I have a joint here, with the MDF, I'm going to bring the sheet in like this so that there's a joint here. And then there's going to be a joint here, which I'm going to cut it short so there's a joint here. It wants to fall somewhere in here, but I don't want that joint over top of the dishwasher because that's just going to be a weak spot. So I'll cut it back to here, put a new piece in here, and over here I have 2 cabinets butting up, so there's 2 walls, so I'll rest one on one wall, one on the other. And even if you just get it close to that, that's good enough too. Instead of having a joint right over top of this cabinet a few inches out, which would be fine, but I just rather not. And I don't have to in this case, so I'm not gonna. So I'm gonna have a full sheet going the other way, a partial piece there, a partial piece there, and then that's gonna be the same, and this is gonna be the same. I'm also gonna add some supports in this corner here because it is a big span here. So I'm gonna add like a joist going across, maybe even 2 going diagonal. So the whole trick with this is you want a nice smooth surface on the top. And the CDX plywood doesn't do that. So you got all this stuff going on, and it's just in general, it's just not a smooth surface. So you could fill in all the different imperfections with like Bondo or something, but I'm just not gonna get into that. So I got this sink already a few months ago, and it's a little bit fancier than a normal sink. It's a little bit wider, and it's a little bit deeper. And I had to make that cabinet 40 inches. They require 39, but I made it 40 inches. Normally, a cabinet for a sink is typically 36 inches. So I had to make it a little bit bigger for this one because it is wider. So I love undermount sinks, so I made sure to get an undermount. And they provide you with this template so that you can trace it out exactly how it should be so that it's flush to the sink wall, which is really convenient because trying to get that perfect without a template like this, you can do it, but it takes a lot longer. This is just really quick and streamlined. And they give you the center marks too so that you can line it up pretty easily, just draw it out and cut it out. So all I need to do is find my center marks going both ways and slap that on there, maybe put a couple pieces of tape on so it doesn't move around, and trace it out. Alright, so the next step is going to seem odd and it might not make sense to some people, but I want to infuse some LEDs into this countertop. So what I'm going to do is on the CDX plywood, the 3/4 inch that's going to go on the bottom, I'm going to cut out little like slivers, just random slivers here and there. And I'm going to cut those out and I'm going to paint the edge of the inside of it like a lighter color. I don't know, whatever I have laying around, just something lighter, not black, just to seal the edge. And then I'm going to take those slivers, seal them up from the bottom, and I'm going to pour some epoxy in them, just clear, and let that sit. But before I pour the epoxy in it, I'm going to trace it out onto the MDF and cut that out as well so that they're both cut. And then I'll fill in those spots with the epoxy in the CDX, let that set up, take off the stuff from the bottom, which I'm going to probably need to use like a board on the bottom with some wax paper or something, and then I'll take that off, sand it down on the bottom. And since the stuff that I got, you can only pour it 3/4 of an inch thick, I'm just going to pour the bottom layer, and then I'll put the MDF on top of that once it's dried, and then I'll glue and screw the two layers together, and then I'll pour the clear epoxy on the MDF part of it, which I have to seal around the edges, the same thing first, just so that you don't see like the edge of the wood when you look through it. So I think I explained those in the right order. It took me a little while to kind of figure this out, but the goal is basically to have 1.5 inch thick clear epoxy that goes right through the countertop, and then I can put LED lights on the bottom of that. And the reason I want to do that instead of putting it in with the epoxy is because then you could never replace it. So I want it to go all the way through to the bottom of the countertop. So basically, before I put the LEDs in, you should be able to look down into the cabinet. Kind of. It's not super clear like that, but at least it'll let light through anyways. Alright, so the plan right now is to paint these edges just around here and maybe a little bit on the bottom side, like a lighter color. I'm going to use whatever paint I have laying around. Might even be like a lightish blue, I'm not sure. I might have some white though. But I'm going to paint those surfaces just so they're sealed up and so that they reflect the light better. So this is the bottom of the sheet, so the light will reflect up through there and it'll bounce off those walls. Once I paint these edges, then I'm going to take some silicone and run it around the outside of it, pretty close, pretty tight, and then put some wax paper on top of that. And then on top of the wax paper, I'm going to put just some 1/2-inch plywood with a few screws in it. So that'll seal the surface. The wax paper won't stick to the resin, and the wax paper won't stick to the silicone. And then tomorrow, once it's dry, I can just unscrew the screws. I can just take off the wax paper and maybe take a putty knife or something and just get all the silicone off. And then I can just sand it lightly down just so it's even, and it should be good to go. So it should be a pretty streamlined process. I just need to get these painted so they can get drying so that I can continue on with the rest of it. Alright, so these are ready to pour the clear epoxy. It's hard to estimate how much I'm going to need for this. Ultimately though, it doesn't need to be flush with the top. As long as I got enough in there to stop stuff from going down, that's really all I care about. Even if there was just like a 1/4 inch on the bottom, then I could take the stuff off, like the plywood and the wax paper and all that stuff off, and then I can actually set these, which is kind of the goal. So at this point, I'm just trying to make a barrier to hold the epoxy, because I'm going to have to pour another layer, or maybe even 2 layers on top of this, once the MDF is on here and everything else. So these aren't sitting perfectly level because of those pieces of plywood. You can see like it's humped up like 1/2 inch over there, 1/2 inch over there. And so it's not going to be perfectly level inside of here, but that's okay. As long as there's a barrier, that's all I care about. That's a lot more clear than I thought it would be. We might have to add a little bit of like white to the next round, just because you can see like there's some wrinkles in the wax paper and stuff, and I'm sure that's going to show up once we take it off. Actually, there's a lot of wrinkles. I didn't think that this stuff would be so clear. But who knows, maybe it'll fog up once it dries. But just in case it doesn't, I can just add a little bit of white to the next round and that should take care of that. Should make it not so translucent. I mean, I like the fact that it's clear, but at the same time, I don't want to see all the imperfections in it. Plus, we're still going another 3/4 of an inch. Actually, probably almost an inch, because a lot of this is only half an inch in here. But that's fine. Half an inch is fine. I'd rather not have it overflowing over the top.
I'll take perfect.
I don't even know what about.
Okay. Good.
Noah, did you catch a tiny little bullhead?
Yeah.
Let me see that
Noah,
thing.
bring that thing
Look,
up.
look at that. Little bullhead.
Bullhead. Bullhead.
We only put 3 bullheads in there, so I guess they're doing their job.
And then I got a turtle.
Look at that. Now we got a bunch of bullheads.
And I caught
turtle
a
too?
turtle. Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I want to show them, Noah. Look. It's got like damage on it. And on the bottom too. Got damage on it. I know. And then look, it's got like beautiful red colors.
All right, back to work. Alright, so screwing these from the underside was a tedious and painful task, but it is done now. So, it's behind me. Getting into the cabinets, reaching up underneath and screwing it from underneath is not easy, but it can be done. And like I said, I was gonna take this out and flip it upside down and then screw it, but I don't know. I just got caught up in the moment. Same thing with this one. So I just ended up screwing all of them from underneath. So now that I have this nice rounded bullnose edge, I'm gonna make that look even nicer by putting some Bondo on it, letting that dry, and then sanding it down. And I'll probably do that a few times to make this look really nice. That's the neat thing about this kind of countertop versus like a concrete countertop, is that you can take all the time you want to make it look perfect before you put the epoxy on. There's no sense in rushing anything. You just keep going over it. And if you sand it too deep, you just put some more Bondo on, sand it again. Alright, so I've been working on sanding these edges, but it's getting late, so before I go to bed I want to make sure that I pour another layer inside of these. But that edge is coming out pretty good. All the edges are coming out pretty good. Just need to do a little bit more work, and tomorrow we will be ready to pour later on in the day. Alright, so I'm at the point now where everything is shaped the way I want, sanded down. So now what I'm doing is just applying this undercoat. It's an epoxy undercoat. Putting 2 coats of that on. It's kind of like a primer. It seals the wood up and makes the epoxy stick better. So I'm just painting around the spots that I need to cut in, and then I'll roll the rest of it. Alright, so that's what it looks like when it's almost ready to pour. Now I just gotta let it dry, mask off the sides to make a tape dam, and then it's ready to pour. See, what happens is this little concave will store a bunch of stuff, and that'll be enough to bring it down the face of it. So we are all ready to pour. The plan here is I'm going to put some clear epoxy in the middle. I'm going to put a little bit more than I think I need. That way, when I take this dam off, if anything, the clear will flow out. But what I'm also going to do, just in case, is I'm going to put a translucent blue around, like a ring around it. And that translucent blue is actually a glow-in-the-dark blue. So it'll be cool because it'll have a ring of glow-in-the-dark going around it. And if for some reason the blue goes into that area, at least it'll be translucent and it's lighter than everything else. Because the theme of these is going to be black, but there's going to be different colors. But I don't want any black to get into there, so I'm going to come out with a ring of the translucent blue, which is glow-in-the-dark blue, and then I'm going to do black outside of that, so the black is quite a ways from these spots. And I'm going to try to match up what I did upstairs in the shower, sort of, to the best of my ability anyways. So we still got our silver, our blue pearl, pewter, and this is the new blue glow powder. And then I got more pewter and more blue pearl. And then I also got my black dye, and I got white dye too. So these are very, very strong. Like, one drop is enough to mix up this whole thing. Like, 4 drops is enough for 2 gallons. It's that strong. So we got many different container sizes. This is 2 gallons, so I'll probably start out mixing a full 2 gallons of clear. This is a half a gallon, so I'll probably dump out enough to fill this up, and that'll be just for the places that are gonna have the LED lights. Hopefully that's enough. And then we'll also break it down into smaller sections with these cups for all the different colors, and we'll put black and white in these half a gallon cups as well. So I got 4 gallons altogether. According to the specs, we should only need 3 gallons, so we'll have some left over. I still need to do the backsplash, but I don't want to do that right now because it's just too much going on. I can do that at a different day, and I can save some of these colors and just sort of match it. That way there's not so much pressure. I can lay them out on this table and get them the way I want without having to worry about everything else going on at the same time. So I'd say we need to mix another gallon. So we'll keep whatever's left in here for whatever we might need. Might be clear, I don't know. Almost the same as silver. I think it's a little lighter too. The blue glow. I have not seen this one yet. Maybe it doesn't really change colors. Maybe it just glows blue. I don't know. Yes, I'm trying to put a little bit more in.
I mean, the powder doesn't really have that much of a blue to it. So
Yeah.
it seems...
I guess I could put a little bit of blue pearl in there. Yeah. Well, that even works better for my plan then, because this is going to be right around the clear stuff, so it'll be clear. You know, I don't want to put too much of it down. It'd be too much of a clear spot. I should almost just use this.
I was gonna say, yeah, almost should use that. And then the clear you could do, you put any color you want in it.
That's white. Oh, we're gonna have to label that one differently. That's supposed to be white. Oops.
I don't know, there's some blue in there.
What do you mean? This is the white now.
Oh. I see what had happened. I thought you meant the
Skip
powder
one.
was white.
Should almost put like a drop of silver in there or something. Pewter, like just
Just a couple flecks. Good. Just to darken it up. That's smooth.
yeah,
Looks similar to that one.
yeah. You think just a little bit more or something?
What did you use? Pewter?
Yeah.
I'll just do a tap. Good.
I don't think that did anything. Let's put a very, very small drop of this black in there. Get that out of there. Is it just me or did that actually darken it up?
That did definitely darkened it up. Like, wow. Whoa. Oh yeah, that's cool.
Sometimes you gotta mix your own colors.
Yep.
That black is super, super strong too.
I guess it is.
Alright, now we can do white.
White.
This stuff is super strong too. Those two look so similar. I think we should almost do something like put white in one of them or something.
Yeah. I would put a little white in the silver, honestly.
Let's do it.
Coming back to the silver.
Two drops. All we need.
is all you need. Little dabs will do you.
Maybe not.
Another drop.
Oh, I put it down in this stuff. That's stupid.
Huh.
I put this down in that puddle of stuff right there.
At least it's clear. And that's looking silver to silvery than the silver.
Grip it. Luckily it's clear, so if it drips, it's not that big of a deal. You can see some color seeping into it, but it shouldn't. You know what we should almost do is kind of flood that area with just a little bit more color. I don't know. I think it'll equalize out in a second.
I was gonna say maybe you just pour a little bit of clear in there.
Yeah, like that.
Right there. Yeah. Well, you got it.
Ooh, this is really warm.
It'll also push the colors back too.
Yeah.
Cool. Just set that where to. Oh. I was just gonna say, just set it where the sink goes. Yep.
That is really warm.
Oof. Chemical reaction. I'm gonna come over here.
It's definitely pretty low, I think. Get this in there as soon as possible.
Perfect. Well, tape dams worked.
Put next to it though.
Yeah. Done.
What do we got left here?
Oh, this can go over here.
This is all we got left. I say we gotta kind of.
I say you should mix up.
I think we only got a little bit for black, and then the glow blue to go around the things.
Yeah.
So
That's clear. I mean, clear could be whatever.
yeah, but I'd rather have the glow blue around.
Silver.
I think we'll just do the blue glow for around the thing, and then the rest is black.
Yep, and then black.
You want to just hold that and let it drip?
Yep.
Get a little. I mean, if we have to mix up a little bit more, it's not a big deal. But yeah, just fill in any spots that are blank.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Better not have to smear it like I'm doing because it messes up the colors. so far has tension broken on the surface. And it also looks a lot different once it starts setting up and it levels out again. Of course, we kept doing the island last when it should have been first, because that's like the feature in here. It's definitely much more exotic looking than everything else. Much more smeared.
They just like drag it through.
Just don't have any rhyme or reason to it though. So wherever. Like a big old P. That's it. Also got to break the surface tension on this thing too. And let it smear down.
Hold on.
Just sort of down. See, it's already. I don't have too much on it. I might need to.
It's not stuff to eat.
Really save some of this. If I really need some, I can use this. at how this is starting to drip down already. Look at all this. Plenty of stuff there. That's what you want. I'm just going to break the surface tension a little bit, let it flow a little bit better. But I don't want to smear that design too much. A little bit dry right there.
Oh, it's gonna walk right in it.
A little bit dry here. I think I should almost let it run just a few more seconds.
Yep.
You can see how cool it is though, because the colors on the edge just drip right down. It makes it look really cool.
Huh? Especially right here.
Seriously? What is with you guys in this charcoal? You sleep in it? You eat it? Why do you like that charcoal so much? Zoe! Zoe, come here! Pearl! Zoe! Pearl! What you doing, Pearl? Come here, Ralph. What do you want? Just looking for a pettins? Oh, now Ralph wants the pettins. Mouse Catcher 5000. Alright, well it's a few days later and these are looking really good. So I put some LED lights in here just to temporarily see how it would look, and looks great. So I still got to hook up all the LED lights inside of these cabinets, but I just wanted to do that just to see how much light would shine through, and I'm really happy with the amount of light that shines through. I had this on last night and it lit up the whole room, just those two little spots right there. You could see everything in here. It's like a nice night light. But once I get those hooked up, it'll be even better. So I was going to put a matte finish on all these, which is like a dull finish, which I really like, especially on kitchen counters, because it makes it like pop more. I just personally like the matte finish a lot more than the glossy look, but everyone else said to leave it glossy, so I guess that's what I'm going to do, because I can always put matte finish on later if I want to, but I think once you put on matte finish, it's hard to put the gloss on there. So I already have the matte finish top coat, but seems how everybody doesn't really want that anymore, we're going to go with the glossy. I'm going to get a different top coat, but it's going to take like a week or more to come in the mail, so in the meantime, it's not going to look any different than what it is right now, so I don't see any point in waiting for it, for you guys to see it, because it's going to look exactly identical to what it is right now. It's just going to be a lot more durable once I put that top coat on. It's the ultimate top coat by Stone Coat Countertops. So the few things left that I'm going to do to wrap up this video is going to be to make a backsplash for this, and I'm going to install the rest of the LED lights, and I'm going to install the sink. That way you guys can kind of have more of a completed look by the time I get done here. So I'm going to take a piece of 1x3, which is 3/4 of an inch thick and 2.5 inches wide, and that's what we're going to use as a backsplash. Normally you'd use a 1x4, but a 1x4 is going to impede on this outlet right here, and all the trim in this house has been a 1x3 anyway, so that'll be fine. We're going to mix up some more of this epoxy, use the same exact colors, get the same kind of design, same kind of concept, and we're just going to make them sort of match what's already here. I'm not going to worry about like where these designs end and where the designs start on the backsplash or anything like that. We're just going to use the same colors, and just in general it should look sort of like it belongs there. So I got some lights hooked up. First of all, I got these under cabinet lights, and these are really bright. Like, they exceeded my expectations like tenfold. You can't even see the colors in the countertop right now. That's how bright they are. But let me show you that too. Let me turn the main lights off here and show you what it's all about. How cool is that? You know, these GoPros don't really do good in dark. It's not really doing justice right now, but this is really cool. It lights up everything in here. And one of the coolest features that you guys haven't even seen yet is the fact that all this glows in the dark when you turn this off. I highly doubt the camera's going to pick it up, but let's try it anyways. Oh man, I wish you guys could see this. These countertops are lit up right now. There's got to be a way I could show this. I'm going to figure out a way where I can show you guys this in the next video. Alright guys, you can kind of see what's going on here. I'm using a night vision scope. They're binoculars that I keep on a 1022. But you can detach them. So there's the corner right there. You can kind of see the glow in the dark. I mean, you can see it, but it's really low quality. See all the little spots there? And then here's the island. Super low quality video here, but you get the idea. That's that little cabinet towards the stairs. After I saw Stone Coat Countertops do this on one of their countertops in their personal home, I just had to do it. I wasn't going to do an epoxy countertop without doing it. I was originally just going to do the island, but then I thought, you know what? Let's just spend a few extra hours, maybe another $100 or $200, and let's just do all the countertops. I'm so happy that we did this. This is really neat. The kids are going to love this. They haven't even seen it. I just hooked it up. They saw this, but they're in bed right now. But they haven't seen any of this. And the glow in the dark thing is really cool, because that's like, at nighttime, it lights up the kitchen. Because there's like a big swath of glow in the dark around this whole thing. And then there's like little patches here and there. This patch right here is glow in the dark. And then some of these little streaks. It's not just here and here. I put it in all different spots. So it's really neat. I gotta find a way to show you guys. You're gonna love it. It's cool. It's really neat. This sink is awesome. I love the faucet and the sink, just the whole setup. I just love it. And the way this came out right here, that is so neat. I'm loving this kitchen, guys. I was really hesitant on doing this epoxy countertop. I really wanted something nice like granite or marble, but you know, I probably saved 7 or 8 grand by doing this, and there's no way I would have been able to have the lights in there, or the glow in the dark, or the colors that I wanted, or the style that I wanted. There's no way I would have gotten anywhere near that with natural stone, and I would have paid so much more for it. So this was definitely the way to go, without a doubt. Like, I would definitely do this again. I didn't really like the glossy look, but it's growing on me. And like I said, if we decide that we want to go with a matte finish, I can easily do that. I was going to use the LED strips underneath these cabinets to do the under cabinet light or the over counter light, whatever you want to call it, but they just weren't bright enough. I put them on there just temporarily to see, and they just weren't bright enough, so I ended up getting these bars, and I can't remember. I think these are like 2,000 lumens a piece or something, maybe even more. It's way more than I expected. And if you're on the countertop, like cutting food up or something, it definitely does the job. I was definitely really worried about this opening, because having an undermount sink means that this edge is exposed, and you got to make it really nice. But it came out really good. Like I said, you got to just take your time, because you have all the time in the world. You don't have to pour until you're ready. Once you're ready to pour and you start the process, you definitely want to make sure that you got everything in line. But you can see that these edges came out really good. And then you got the colors flowing down like that. That's really neat. And it's so easy to accomplish that too. Now again, just like upstairs, I think this is a little bit too busy for my liking. And of course it's the island, so it's the main feature, but I definitely still like it. You know, it's just a little too busy for my likings, but this counter is perfect. I love the way that came out. It's not too busy, it's just perfect. And this one is pretty good too. A little bit busy, a little bit too much color there, but that one came out pretty good. But overall, even with this being busy, I'm super happy with it. Alright guys, well that's it for this video. I got a lot of stuff accomplished, and a lot of it I didn't even show you, like with all the lights going on and all the electric I had to do and stuff to get to that point. But definitely closing in on this kitchen. And the next thing I'm going to do is going to be the panels for all the doors. And I got all the materials I need for that. And I got some more glow blue. And we're going to use that a lot more in the doors. And that's going to be really neat. You guys are going to love that. So stay tuned for that. And the next thing we're going to work on after that is going to be the floor. I want to get this floor wrapped up. And then this room can get taped and painted, and then we'll have a kitchen. But in the meantime, I got a lot of other projects going on outside with machines and some jobs that I'm doing. So between all that, I'll see you guys on the next video.